Al-Fa, Al-Fatiha, and Al-Sufyan of all We got a beautiful miscellany that we finna have restored to us all. It's up to you if you want it.
I've heard that. Ain't that the beautiful truth?
It's the beautiful truth.
Ain't that the beautiful truth?
Mm-hmm. Glad you just said that.
You want
Before we get
everything
that on
here.
the screen. Right.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
Right now, I want the truth to say that should be your first priority.
Mm-hmm. So we'll start it off from what we know, and then we finna go to the what we don't know.
Beautiful.
We know something that they said at the beginning is the end.
Mm-hmm.
And once you find the end, you find the beginning.
Mm.
Now it's holy talk now.
Right on. Not busy about it, John.
Hey, this is a gift for all of us.
I like that. Holy
Hey,
talk.
right.
I like that.
It's our gift now.
Holy talk.
We got holy talk.
Beautiful. That's what I want to hear.
The end we was told about is what we finna have for us to understand. So let's start with some words that we're familiar with. And let's start with G-O-D.
Ain't no better start than that.
Let's start with the term G-O-D.
Yeah, that's beautiful stuff.
So we at least heard this word. Yeah, we can put even phrases with this word. God, G-O-D. They wanted to keep us out of this, y'all. They didn't never, especially the black man, the black woman, and their innocent black child.
Yes, good.
They didn't want us to know this. Who is they? The church. Oh boy, did the church not want us to know this was finna come out. The church did everything in their means for you to not know what's finna become known. The church used this power to get all they have stolen. So the church truly owned nothing. The true thing they own is the abyss. Al Jahannam. Al-Awawala is where they'll be going. Now, aside to why is the means of how the church used this 3-letter word, G-O-D, which never belonged to the church. And they stole these 3 letters that became in English, G-O-D.
Beautiful.
And started ruling the world.
Yes, indeed. Goodness alive.
This is how powerful this understanding is. This is why they didn't want humanity to have it for themselves. Instead, the church said no, and the church wanted it for themselves. And so it'd be only exclusive now to a few.
Come on with it.
This one right here for the record right here. As one of the messengers said, let's set the record straight.
Heard that many times. Beautiful.
And so G-O-D comes from an explanation that we finna have to ourselves now. The church did in fact hide this so thoroughly, they wanted it buried to the eons of time. G-O-D is the realest thing ever. And so those who understand G-O-D are those who are in your rulership position. So these today in our times would be called the false pharaohs of falsehood. And so these false pharaohs kept you out the gate of heaven and earth, while they keep the gate open only to themselves. And so they've been collective massively. This is why this amount of money exists in the world. So you got to understand what we're coming to. God, as we listening to the words, is also now connecting to money. So now when we're talking about the power of God, which is unknown to the black man, the black woman, and their pure black child. Which will be known by the end of our meeting. The effects of G-O-D that we can see is effectively in money. So money has been tied with God, and God has been tied with money, to the fact that God, G-O-D, is on money. It's a reason. This is why.
There's a reason. That's right.
This is the reason. if you see money now at its highest level that people can attain, that we are living through, that we can bear witness to, that when it comes to this money, there's some people called millionaires. Because we can start from $1, but well, let's work our way up like we was doing simple mathematics.
Yeah.
We got the 1 cent.
Mm-hmm.
You got the 10 cent.
Mm-hmm.
You got the dollar bill. So from that dollar bill, you got 10 dollars. You got $100. From that $100, you go $1,000. Then the 10,000, 100,000.
Yeah.
We know people with amounts of these monies.
Yeah.
People existing with these amounts of money. So 100,000 go to 1 million.
Mm-hmm.
There's millionaires.
Yeah.
And even multi-millionaires. Hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
There's people with hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
It's people with 900s of millions.
Ain't that simple?
Just to keep track of what we tracking now with the mathematics.
Yeah.
It's even people with 1 billion.
Mm.
1 billion hundreds. It's people with 1 billion, and that's 1 million hundreds. And this is what God is on the money, what showing you the understanding of the incomprehensibility.
Yeah.
Don't think this means nothing by the accumulation of money. We just using this as math.
Yeah.
So there's people with tens of billions, 50, hundreds of billions, 900 billion. It's people.
Yeah.
It get slimmer, but it's people. Y'all heard people say they billionaires. That's multi-billions.
Yeah.
And see, and when you can do that round the clock 12 times, this is what they call a trillion. And there's trillionaires. Now, these are the most quiet that you would never see here or taste them in the vicinity. That's what the billionaires and the millionaires for. See, so when we coming into holy talk, we coming into a high status, an elevated way of thinking. This ain't got nothing to do with money. Money was the mathematics to show you the powers exist, like root, square, and cube.
Yep.
These are powers to show you these powers exist up the scale in physical reality. And so these trillionaires, this is what ultimately this is all coming to. They are understanding what we should have been understood since 1913. We was told like this in 1913. Time never was when man was not. We was told again, as in 70 trillion years ago, the original man, the black man, was the owner, the maker, and the cream and master of the universe. Then you was told, as in right knowledge, right wisdom, right understanding, brings sound, right reason, and connected you back to these 76 trillion years of knowledge. Just in case you forgot.
Yeah.
That's a timeline prior to these words coming forth now. So you had went from the highest plane of spirit life to the understanding of that highest plane of spirit life to now having your own understanding of that highest plane of spirit life, dealing with right knowledge, right wisdom, and right understanding. So now when this comes, all this is preparing for the time of divine revelation. I hope we didn't think that we wouldn't have these magnificence for no reason. You know, some of these brothers that brought the message forth, you will never see again. So let that dawn on you that whatever you bringing forth in your life, remember, they won't never see you again. You have not seen any of the prophets return in their same form. And that's why we must take up a new form. So remember that you will only have this form to leave your legacy. So all this is to empower you to leave such a powerful message behind. Because as you see, as none of the prophets have came back from the dead, the message is still above the dead. So you have a time now in your authority to now leave a message that'll stand the test of time, as we have received this message through the test of time. So let us begin. The origin of the black man. This is what was being described to us. From those prophets aforementioned, This is what they was describing to us throughout their times of life. Make sure we lean in. Because now this is the final understanding of what all those who came before us. This is what it was for, why the messages was delivered, and what they was describing, so it's now fully comprehended. And so God existed before a church existed. God is old as the black man. The word man and God are the same. So when we come into the understanding of what we need to understand, the timeline begins here. 144 trillion years of knowledge. This 144 trillion years of knowledge has been described to you as God, as man, as I am, as Son of Man, as Son of God, as Christ, as consciousness. So all those terminologies are describing one and the same thing. 144 years of knowledge. All knowing knowledge. This is now what you have access to now. So listen very closely. You have to learn how to use this natural and divine resource. So these terms, God, Son of Man, man, none of these terms means the flesh. These terms are describing what makes the flesh. Why you present today is because of those terms. And so over time, this is why you got so many terms. But 144 trillion years ago, we only had one term. And that term still exists to this day. You hear it pronounced as Allah. If you heard this in any shape or form, This is carrying over from 144 trillion years ago. This is older than the flesh, the earth, the sun, the moon, the stars, and the universe. Before a Big Bang and before a theory, this is actually what it is. So all of that terminology, the many words, we run them down again. God, Christ, man, the Great Spirit, the Son of Man, the Son of God, consciousness. All that was called Islam. So Islam was at the beginning of 144 trillion years ago. So this 144 trillion years of knowledge was the knowledge of Islam. This is a blessing for us to be receiving right here. This Islam was our paradise. This knowledge was our paradise that we called it I Salam. So this is what makes all persons, all places, and all things. This is from supreme wisdom to divine wisdom. The divine wisdom is the trillionaire. The trillionaire is the 144 trillion years of knowledge. So we have to understand Islam is before the mind. The reason why your mind is this is because Islam made it. Islam is not a person, place, or thing. It makes persons, places, and things. This is when later terminology called it a trinity. The trinity is referred to a person, a place, and a thing. So this trinity became a term describing Islam. Triune is another term used to describe Islam. When you know and understand this Islam, then you are back at the origin of pre-creation. This is what the black man as a physical form, the black woman as a physical form, and their black child as a physical form, this is where they come from. So understanding Islam is holding all of divine uncreated energies. This is why it makes every person, this is why it makes all places, and this is why it makes each thing, each living thing. Islam is uncreated, divine energy. Now, in modern terms, they call it free energy. This is all going to this understanding of the divine creator. So when you knew this Islam through spirit, mind, and body, this was called a Musalam. A Musa Alim. Musalim. Muslim. Muslim. This was the greatest to understand the greatest wisdom of the divine creator. So the form that Islam takes is the form of a Muslim. This is what the Creator chose as the perfection of all creation, saving the best for last. So the best be the people. This is why you see so many diversity of people. It's all come from Islam. And when you know this, you call it a Musalam. When you live by this, you call it a Musalam. This pre-existed the church, even a church. So this ain't no religious talk right here. We talking trillions of years. There was no church trillions of years. That's 1,000-year thing. This before a Bible. This before a Quran. This before a holy tablets. This is pure Islam. So today, they call this process of a Musalam, they call it theosis. Theosis is the process of a Musalam. Theosis is what a Musa is. So when you hear me say the word theosis, this is greater than gnosis. This is when you achieve gnosis. Theosis. This is today's term. Theosis means to live a deific life. To become partaking and partakers of the divine nature. So now we get into how this becomes the divine. What we're speaking on right now is the nature of the divine. Divine nature is where all human nature comes from. No matter what color you are, what book you read, what eyes you see. Islam is before a human took form. Islam is what caused the human to take form, caused the universe to take form, caused every living thing to have a form. So this has been stolen, robbed, and used as a weapon against us. They wanted us to disbelieve. The powers that be want us to go opposite of our nature and believe the new false narrative from the false pharaohs of falsehood. So they fabricated their own. They fabricated their own form of Islam, and they decided to call it Christianity. So that process that the early fathers was of theosis. So the early prophets was of theosis. So now bringing this word back to understanding theosis mean partakers of the divine nature. This is what and where they get the word theosis from. The word theosis comes from the word Moses. The word theosis comes from the word Moses. And now, when you see now the story of Moses, now you should understand. So a quick briefing of the Moses story. God spoke to Moses. And when he spoke to Moses, he made Moses God. I make thee a God and send you to Pharaoh. That's the falsehoods of the day, of that time. So this is talking about what we're talking about earlier. All these names that was mentioned earlier are talking about uncreated divine energies that is in man. And once man and woman, we got to stop right there. Now that we entered this point of man and woman, this is why we get man confused. Because we say man and woman. Then we think man is a form. Man is not a form. This is where everybody is getting it twisted from, the twisted philosophers and translators called historians. Man has nothing to do with what we're talking about as woman, as a physical form. Man is not a physical form. Man is uncreated divine energy. Now, male and masculine, that's the form that you see in existence that people are presumably is a man. So now the one man is the same as the masculine, but the opposite, the feminine, the female. When these two was together, they was called uncreated. And this was called man. When man separated to come into existence, this is how you get males and females. This is why you can't wait to see is the baby a male or female. And the goal of a male and a female both was to become man. So when you hear the word man, it's talking about this uncreated essence of who we both were before taking on the bodies and forms of male and female. We call that man. There's a reason for it. So now that is the origin of man. That man is not a physical form as a male, and man is not a physical form as a female. Male is a uncreated divine energy. And this is what man is. So when we say black man, now we're talking about the essence of this divine uncreated energy. So this is giving us the origin of where man gets his divine uncreated energy from. So this is where all females and this is where all males get their energy from. If you call it gifts and talents and natural skills. But it comes from the black. The essence. This never goes anywhere. So when they was telling us the black man, this is the understanding of the black man. Now, of course, these not the words from 144 trillion years ago. But this word is still describing what it is from 144 trillion years ago. So now the black man 144 trillion years ago, this is what was called a Muslim. In the first place a Muslim landed in physical form. A Muslim is physical form, muscles and limbs. Muscles and limb, Musalim. Coming from the highest plane of spirit life, Alim, the master of the universe. Not no slave master. This is where they copying from and mocking. The master mean man. And man mean master. But it's not talking about physical form. It's talking about the divine uncreated energy that we all exist in. And so now this black, this is what became known as death. So under Christianity, and according to Christianity, black means death. So this is why the black man dies under Christianity. You have your own to be under. That gives you the true understanding of why you are black. So these are the things that Christianity can never teach you and have not taught you. So the Musalam, this is where you get the word Moses. The word Moses comes from Musa. So when you understand this knowledge, you become a Musalim, a Muslim, a Musalam. And if you want to understand that today, just look up the word theosis. So the one of the prophets came and said, "What is your religion? Is it old or new?" Old time. That old time is this 144 trillion years. And when the Muslim created in the universe in physical existence, he used Islamism. Islamism is how the Musalam made every living thing divine. You get the word, when you hear the word Islamism, this is where you get the newer day word baptism. The ism we was all supposed to receive wasn't the baptism, but the Islamism. This is the whole understanding of what we're talking about in living motion, living proof, living and knowing in virtue. So we can go right outside now and see all this, what is being said as a physical existence. But what I'm talking about is within the self. So when you go to sleep, this is what that going to sleep is. You're visiting the black man. That's what you call the black space or the darkness. That darkness is cosmic space, like the universe. Out of that place where you sleep at, that's cosmic space. Out of that space, this is how every living thing will form. And everyone knows that space is pure black. This is your living reality. So you know that it exists. So now we're talking the origin of the black man. This is the origin of the black man. So the Musalam form of making the world a better place was called Islamism. So to know what we need to know, this is what, to never forget it again. In other words, to always remember. For the Musalam to always remember Islam. This is where the primary understanding of this dark cosmic space is. And this is what is called the way. This is how everything came into existence. This is where everything is going back into when they leave existence. So all of this was a thought for us. We didn't need nothing greater. All we needed that was greater is thought. This is how Islam work. It has nothing to do with your physical form. It has to do with your thought. Because this is how you receive thought from this divine place. So the Musalam, to never forget this, this is what's called the way. The way of Islam. So the Musalam, to never forget this, the Asiatic, this what represents what is called the place. The Attic, Asiatic, the place on high. In newer terms, they call it the right hand of God. So that was deep science expression that I'm going to go sit on the right hand of God. That was expressing this deep knowledge here. The way sits on the right hand side of the Father. So this is what, as a Musalam, we call true Islam, the way of Islam. Al-Sufian. Al-Suf, I, To never forget this way of thinking. This was called I. This is what Musa said to the Pharaoh. Musa means to partake in the divine nature of your own self. So now when we're talking about how do you partake into the divine of your own self, this is what's called Al-Ayon. What did God tell Musa? What did God tell the Musalam? I am. Remember, that's later day talk. Translating holy talk. I am is I am. what the Musalam said, or what God said to the Musalam, Moses, Musa, was I am. They translated it as I am. That I am. God said to the Musalam, Al I am. That's what I am, that I am means. And it's talking about deep metaphysics that's going beyond the material realm. That now it's in your thinking, is where the divine nature takes place. And with thinking, nothing is faster than thought. So thought can control your physical form, or you can let the external material world control your physical form if you lose the way. So this is why Musa came back and showed the way. The Al Ayon. Of I Salam. Islam. To all Musalam. So now let's bring something on the screen. We're going to start at the end. We're going to start at the end. So you can understand 144 trillion years of knowledge. We'll start at the end and work our way to the Al Sufyan. So when you hear the phrase, the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. This is what we're talking about here. The return of the 144. So at the very end, this is why man is the marvel of creation, not the physical form. We're talking about the uncreated divine energy. Let's call that the thinker. So for all this to exist, you would need people to bear witness and represent this, all this magnificence. So when you hear about the human being is the perfection of all forms. This is the first shall be last and the last shall be first. As you see, 144 is the people. People is where it ends. You is where it ends, and you is where it begins. The people. is where it ends and where it all begins. So if you want to know, was there ever the beginning? Your question now, well, now you know the ending. Would there always have you always seen people? If people still coming into this world as babies are people, children are people, male, females are people, elders, seniors, older, younger are people. Even birds are people, trees are people, grass is people, clouds are people. This is what the Creator is showing you through yourself. What you are, every living thing is. You are a musallam. So you're supposed to be making everything divine. Because you understand how everything came to be. They say God spake the letter B, and there it was. He say be, and it is. Or so mo it be. These are familiar expressions expressing the people. How you think people come in your life? You think you know the individual. You don't know the individual. The individual was created by man. We're working our way. This is the divine creator. So we see now the end is the people. So there's no end to the beginning because people won't ever stop existing. Everywhere you go, you'll find a person somewhere, somehow, as they say. Now, there's one thing we want to point out, particularly. That's number 4. We want to understand this. Not all the mumbo jumbo of what people say, what people do. We talk about what people are. Before they open their mouth, we're talking about what people are. Number 4, the perfection and completion. Ain't nothing left out. When you see a person, you seeing the people. When you seeing a place, you seeing a people. When you seeing a living thing, you seeing a people. When it comes to people, which is all living things, this is the completion. Everything that is called of knowledge, everything that is called of all things that was in heaven came to existence and showed you their form. All, A-L-L, deals with the people. The people is all. The people is the all. The people are the completion of knowledge. So how do you know that the creator of all exists? Because the people exist.
Great.
Now that you know that, there's no need to have fear. This is the end of fear. This is the end of uncertainty. This is the end of darkness. Did you catch that? This is the end of darkness. The end of uncertainty.
Oh, yeah.
The end of fear. People be jumping around when their favorite team hit the game winner. This how I be jumping around when the Creator deliver that divine revelation. No more fear. No more uncertainty. No more darkness. We know the truth now. The truth is the way of Islam. Seven, a new age. You know how your birthday come around? What happened? You become a new age. So every day, remember we talk about the daily bread. So we ain't waiting on the year. We worship daily. So every day is a new age for yourself. And when you in this moment is a new age for yourself. A day is a moment.
That's right.
Life is a fleeing of a moment. You in a new age now of life. We put an end to darkness. You in a new age now. Whatever age you at now, you in a new age of life. Through wisdom. Your light is through wisdom. To put the end of fear, to put the end to of uncertainty. Nothing in your life should be uncertain no more, because as we go in, we're going into the origin of all things. So we going before the mind. We're in the realm of the divine. Once your mind understands the divine, you become the divine mind. It goes together. We just got to understand this wisdom. This wisdom is called, it's a special wisdom, 144 trillion years of knowledge. This light that is through wisdom is the 144 trillion years of knowledge. You tell me who can come and destroy your spirit, mind, and body when you got 144 trillion years of knowledge. And I'm going to let you see what we call this knowledge. This special wisdom, which is 144 trillion years of knowledge. This is what is called 27. On Sufa 65. Would you light us up, great elder?
Sufa 65. The messenger.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you said that.
El Rousseau.
Yes, because you remember in your time, you done heard others in your time say, when it comes to the opening of the Fatiha, Ir-Rahman, Ir-Rahim, Rasul Lallah. So when you hear that word Rasul, that's where it came from. And it means the messenger, which is the light through wisdom. Now we finna get on number 27, the direct name of the wisdom from 144 trillion years of knowledge.
Sufa 27. The light of Sophia. Sophia or wisdom. I have attained it, and in the light I live.
This is the deep metaphysics of the origin of the black man. This is where you live.
That's right.
When it's talking about the eternal existence, this is where you live, and now you have that knowledge returned and restored by the thinking of your mind, your own mind.
Yep.
By thinking from this 144 trillion years of knowledge through wisdom, which is the light of Sufa.
Beautiful.
This where we get the word fire. Fire. Hot fire. We talking about that light of Sufa.
Yes, sir.
Now, as we went in previously, remember, this is the teachings of Jesus. This is just cut and dry. This is the teachings of what Jesus said. So the light that Jesus had was called Sufa. And that's called the knowledge of self. And we're going to get into the divine name of the self. That's what made it Sufa. Suf means self. Ayah. That's the light of life that was mentioned in when you read scriptures. Ayah. That is the I. Your own I is the Ayah. This is what is called the I am. They say am. I am. Trillion years ago, I am. So this is where we lived before we took on the body, a created form. Before a created form, we lived in the uncreated, divine energies. So now this is where your mind came from. This divine spiritual plane.
Yep.
This is what your mind is searching for while it's in the created form. What you are looking to become is called a musallam. To become one with God. To partake in the divine nature of life. To be partakers of the divine nature of life is to become fully human. Your purpose and ultimate goal is to become one with God. And this is what we call the thinker.
That's right.
This is prior to mind. This is prior to spirit. We're talking Sufa. This is prior to spirit, mind, and body. This is the light that created spirit, mind, and body.
Yep.
This is the uncreated light. If I tell you to go outside and catch sunlight, I'm not talking about put it in a jar. You can't catch sunlight. Now look at your body. It can. You'll feel the sunlight on you because you are light. See, and this is what was not told. You are light beings called all are. We're working our way to it as we get to Sufa. So that's the name from 144 trillion years of wisdom. That special light that ends all fear, ends all uncertainty, ends all darkness. That light that say, wherein no darkness shine. So this what has been called a musallam. So now when the messenger was telling you about the 76 trillion years, now the understanding of this is the 144. You got to do the math and understand 76 is the 1 and the 3, and the 1 and the 3 is the 4. 1, 4, 4. So the 144 trillion years is the first original man. The original man was an Asiatic musallam. And this is what's called Al-Sufian musallam. However you can pronounce it. That's what it's called. So now when we're talking about what is a Al-Sufian musallam, this is the way of the highest, most elevated, purest form of thinking from all possibilities that anything can happen. In other words, there's nothing you cannot do. You see people going to Mars. It's because this exists within every considered being, considered the people. You can do something greater every moment now that you have this divine supreme 144. So the 144 is the collection of the whole entire universe as a physical form. Every physical form, every idea, and every word come from the Al Sufian. People want to know where thoughts come from. This is where thoughts come from. I spent my lifetime to find these things out, to receive these divine revelations. You have to go through deep disciplines.
That's right.
So I've been without things you can't imagine, so I can understand the knowledge of God. These are the rewards. So you know ain't nothing will not give you a reward for. Even if you ain't dealing with a particular form and you dealing with knowledge, there's still a reward. You may not be dealing with money, but you're still dealing with something that gives reward. If I wasn't being rewarded, I would have been stopped. I was rewarded life. So with life, you give life. So it's nothing that's within this universe that is not a form, an idea, or words. All this come from the same place. And this place called the way. There's nothing greater. So now we go into why the name Allah was given to the first original man. Remember, the first original man is not a physical form. The first original man, black man, is a divine, uncreated essence and energies. Divine energies. Uncreated means they haven't been created. They need a creator. So this is where you understand the first, the beginning. Now we at the beginning of 144 trillion years of knowledge. We're at number one right now. And so number 8, this is what we have to understand. The al-Sufyan, the al-I-am. This is where you say I, and then you start having words after that I, attracting to you whatever I wills. This is divine science right here. This is what ancient Egyptians learned from the ancient Musulmans. And so that these are the divine energies for the thinker to think with. So the thinker is what is called, on number 8, all are. So before we go any further, the original man that all the people of the messengers and the prophets and the Rasul, this is what they was getting to us as wisdom. What you calling man, that later day you think is a physical form, comes from the divine name of the self. The man and the self is one and the same. So the divine name of man is all are. All are is the divine creator of all. This is where we have to understand all things. Where does all things come from? The al-Sufyan. Who brings things out of the al-Sufyan? All are. What's inside of the al-Sufyan? All. Nothing left out. Nothing left out with all. So everything that you need to understand in this life deals with the number one, or they call it the first, and this is all are. This is your divine name as man. So a man is what created your mind. Your mind is what made you manifest. Man, mind, and manifest all came from all are. So all is the divine creator of all things. This is the first law. As they have the first principle, this is the first law. As they have the first philosopher, first historian, this is the first law. There's nothing else you need to learn. There's nothing else you need to study, but all are the first. This is your most innermost you of all there is. There is nothing greater. From all laws where you get the physical form that people calling man. But it's not called man. The physical form is also called all law. As we said on previous lesson, that the star, the shape of a man is a star, and the shape of a star is a man. And so the shape of your form is the shape of the beginning of the uncreated energy. And this is why you take on arm, leg, arm, heart. Because you literally come from all are. So when you understand the light of the divine, this is what's called the tree of life. The tree of life is 144 trillion years old. And you see the divine name for life is Al Ha Yah. So when you go to the light is called Sufi Yah. So when you say all are, you are saying all light, all life from the source. All are Sufi Yah. These things get things done, just like words on the physical plane. So now this is what we're talking about, the first law. The Number 6, all are is the one true and only divine creator. So when you see that word one, this word one means the unity. When you see one, that means indivisible. So when you hear ah means the unity, the indivisible. And this is why all are cannot die. Now we're going to go from something deep. We're going to go to something simple right quick as the defining indivisible. So you can see how they use this. They meaning the church. Indivisible meaning not divisible, not opposite of. So nothing is opposite of all are. So when you hear the phrase, there is no other deity but all are. What's opposite of all? What's the opposite of all? Because that's what people are ultimately dealing with. If you want something, you want it all, don't you? If you can't have it all, what's the opposite of all then? So this is why you get the word individual. The word indivisible and the word individual is the same. Here's the meaning of individual. One and indivisible. Inseparable. So can there only be one true and divine creator? Otherwise, you separate one out to many and giving the one many different names. Were they all individual? One and indivisible. The screen said right there so everyone can see it who trying to look. One and indivisible. Let's go back now. There you go. This is what R means. R means the unity, the indivisible. They're just remodifying our 144 trillion years of knowledge. So the unity or the indivisible means individual. So when we read all are is the one true and only divine creator, anybody with sense can pick this up. You don't have to, I'm not making none of this up to make believe anything. Now people have, but we in divine revelations on this page, on this channel. This is our Sufa Ion community. We got the juice. Everyone, all of us, each of us, every one of us, from our one to our body, everybody has everyone. Everyone is everybody. This is what this means. 6. All are means individual. Individual is what this is about. This is what they talking when they call in the church the Trinity. They talking about something individual, indivisible, the unity, inseparable, not, don't have any opposite, cannot be divided, single, intended for one, intended for everyone. See, all is intended for everyone. This is what the church didn't want. This is why they have exclusivity. Because all is for all. Everyone. All is for everyone. And everybody. See, this is the beginning point from which all lesser forms manifest. So with 144 trillion years of knowledge, you now have the right by free will. You have the right of free will to be an al-Sufyan Musalam. Number 11, given unto us. Given unto us, the physical form, is the ability to learn, to reason, and to choose. All this was given to us by free will. Individual free will. Free will. Individual free will. "12. Any man who denies the right of such gifts is culpable of the gravest injury against all art, and is not worthy to be known as a Musalam." There we have it. For all Musa Alims, myself, Lord, am Muslim. Islam. You can't deny the right to such gifts that was given unto us. You get to choose even if you want to use your ability. And that's by the right of free will. And this is what all are is.
Yeah, when I look at the modern day society, man, you could see where they don't want you to have free will. Democracy, all that they know kind of cut it up and want you to abide by the rules and regulations and policies and statutes and codes. That takes you from free will. We don't supposed to be living by their rules, somebody else's rules. We're supposed to be living by our law rules. This is living law. And I guess that's why the scripture tells us to study to show ourselves approved and seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave, which means it's an ongoing process. You never stop. And this is what I guess so you can get to know thyself.
That's right. And he who knows his own self knows. And that's the important. We want to know the divine.
Mm-hmm.
The divine creator is volition.
That's right.
So now you know what God is. All that was forementioned, all that was foresaid is what God is. The divine essence and the divine uncreated energies of all, the collection of all. And there's nothing greater. And this in you is called the thinker. That's what free will means.
Yep.
The thinker.
Yep.
All are is the thinker. So we go as we come. Sufa, al-Fatiha, in I of all are. As-salam, as-salam, as-salam is long.